The alarm blared at 5:45 a.m., slicing through the pre-dawn silence of a modest Portland, Oregon, home. Lauren Mitchell, 34, dragged herself out of bed, her body heavy with the weight of routine. She padded across the hardwood floor to the room of her 6-year-old daughter, Sophie, who was curled up under a quilt, clutching a worn stuffed raccoon. Lauren's heart softened at the sight. Sophie's chestnut curls, inherited from her father, spilled over the pillow, while her hazel eyes, so like Lauren's, were hidden in sleep. Sophie was her anchor, the reason Lauren faced each day with quiet resolve. Lauren, a lab technician at a private medical center, thrived in the precision of her work. The sterile hum of the lab, the orderly rows of blood vials, and the meticulous data entry grounded her. It wasn't a job that turned heads, but for Lauren, it was a calling, a testament to her diligence in a world that often overlooked the small, vital things. By 6:30, she was in the kitchen, packing Sophie's lunch, a peanut butter sandwich, apple slices, and a note that read, "You're my superstar." She zipped Sophie's jacket, kissed her forehead, and drove her to Willow Creek Elementary, waving as Sophie's backpack bobbed toward the school doors. The moment was fleeting, but it filled Lauren with purpose. Back home, the air felt different. Her husband, Ethan, a real estate developer, was already gone, likely halfway to some suburban site inspection. Ethan used to be her rock, charming, ambitious, with a laugh that could light up a room. They'd met in college, bonded over late-night coffee and dreams of building a life together. But lately, Ethan was a ghost in their marriage. He'd come home after 10 p.m., muttering about client dinners, his eyes glued to his phone. When Sophie ran to him with a crayon masterpiece, he'd offer a distracted, "That's nice, kiddo," before retreating to his office. Lauren felt like a tenant in her own life, keeping the house running while Ethan drifted further away. Her parents, George and Evelyn, lived 20 minutes away in a cozy lakeside cabin near Mount Hood. Retired and doting, they'd once been Sophie's biggest fans, baking her oatmeal cookies and building blanket forts for her to rule as Queen Sophie, but recently, Evelyn's warmth had cooled. Her hugs for Sophie were brief, her gaze distant, as if she were sizing up her granddaughter rather than cherishing her. Lauren brushed it off as her mother's quirks, but the shift gnawed at her. Then there was Lauren's older sister, Cassandra, 39, a high-flying marketing exec for a skincare brand in Seattle. Single, childless, and always polished, Cassandra jetted between fashion weeks in New York and Paris, her life a glossy Instagram reel. She teased Lauren for her mom jeans lifestyle but never missed a family barbecue, arriving with designer sunglasses and stories of rooftop galas. 2 weeks ago, over George's famous smoked brisket, Cassandra dropped a bombshell. "Lauren, have you considered sending Sophie to a private school in Seattle? The academies there are top tier. She could stay with me for a semester." Lauren froze, her fork hovering midair. "She's 6, Cass. I'm her mom." Cassandra's smile didn't waver, but it felt sharp. "I'm just thinking of her potential. You're swamped. Ethan's always on the road." "I could help." The word help landed like a stone in Lauren's gut. That night, as Sophie slept, Lauren lay awake, her mind replaying the dinner. Ethan's late nights, Evelyn's odd detachment, Cassandra's pushy offer. They were puzzle pieces that didn't yet fit but hinted at something sinister. The next morning, while braiding Sophie's hair, Lauren's world tilted. Sophie looked up, her voice small. "Mom, if I had to live somewhere else, would you miss me?" Lauren's breath caught. "Who said that, sweetie?" Sophie fidgeted. "Grandma's neighbor's kid. She said I'm going to a faraway school with someone called C." Lauren's blood ran cold. C for Cassandra. 3 nights later, Ethan stumbled in past 10, reeking of coffee and excuses. "Client ran long, sorry," he mumbled, hanging his coat. Lauren sat at the kitchen island, the untouched lasagna cold. She didn't challenge him. She'd learned silence could reveal more than confrontation. As Ethan ate, his phone buzzed. He angled it away, but in the reflection of the glass cabinet, Lauren caught a glimpse. "See, call me." Her pulse quickened. Was it Cassandra? She couldn't be sure, but her instincts screamed danger. The next day, Sophie's teacher, Ms. Harper, pulled Lauren aside after pickup. "Sophie's been quiet. She mentioned someone told her she might move away from you. Is everything okay?" Lauren forced a smile, her mind racing. "Just a misunderstanding. Thanks for checking." She hustled Sophie to the car, her thoughts a whirlwind. That evening, she called Evelyn. "Mom, has Cassandra said anything about Sophie?" A long pause stretched over the line. "She's just worried about Sophie's future." Lauren thinks she'd thrive in a better school. Lauren's grip tightened on the phone. "No one decides Sophie's future but me," Evelyn sighed. "You're a good mom, but you're stretched thin." Cassandra's trying to help. That word again, help. It felt like a lie. 2 days later, Cassandra showed up unannounced at noon, balancing two lattes and a boutique bag. Retail therapy, she grinned, setting a sparkly pink dress on the counter. Sophie will look adorable in this. Lauren didn't touch the coffee. What's going on, Cass? Cassandra's laugh was to light. Just spoiling my niece. Why so tense? Lauren's voice hardened. Are you pushing for Sophie to live with you, away from me? Cassandra's smile tightened, her latte hitting the counter with a thud. You're overreacting. Ethan's drowning in work. Mom and Dad are concerned. We're all just looking out for Sophie. Lauren stepped closer. Sophie belongs with her mother. Cassandra's eyes narrowed, her voice low. Motherhood doesn't make you the sole authority, Lauren. Kids aren't possessions. That night, unable to sleep, Lauren rummaged through Ethan's coat pocket for his car keys. Instead, she found an unopened envelope from a Seattle law firm. Her hands shook as she tore it open. Inside were documents discussing child custody consultation and a draft for temporary guardianship transfer, Sophie's name in bold. Lauren sank onto the couch, the ticking of the living room clock deafening. One question burned in her mind: how far would they go to take my daughter? Saturday morning, Evelyn called, her voice unusually chipper. Lauren, we're doing a family picnic at Cascade Ridge National Park tomorrow, just a 2-hour drive. We'll hike, eat, enjoy the fall colors. Sophie will love it. Cassandra's coming, too. Lauren hesitated, sensing a trap. But Sophie overheard, bouncing with excitement. Mom, I want to go. I'll bring my explorer hat. Her daughter's joy was impossible to refuse. Lauren agreed, but her stomach churned. As she packed Sophie's backpack, snacks, water, a first aid kit, Lauren's unease grew. Ethan, predictably, backed out, got a last-minute investor meeting. You and Sophie go have fun. His dismissal was too casual. Lauren studied him, searching for a crack in his facade, but he avoided her gaze. Is something off with our family, Ethan? She asked. He shrugged. You're overthinking. Fresh air will do you good. The picnic loomed like a storm cloud. Lauren didn't know what awaited them at Cascade Ridge, but she sensed it wasn't just a family outing. Her parents, her sister, her husband, they were hiding something, and Sophie was at the center of it. As Lauren tucked Sophie into bed, she whispered, We'll stick together tomorrow, okay? Sophie nodded, clutching her raccoon. Always, Mom. But the next day, at Cascade Ridge, the facade shattered. The family's cheerful hike led to a secluded cliffside trail, far from the usual paths. Cassandra's sly glances, Evelyn's cryptic comment, this'll be a day you won't forget, and George's insistence on a secret viewpoint set Lauren's nerves on edge. When Cassandra grabbed her arm, whispering, This is for the best, and George hoisted Sophie toward the cliff's edge, Lauren's scream tore through the forest. She lunged, pulling Sophie free, but Evelyn shoved her from behind. Lauren and Sophie plummeted, branches snapping, rocks bruising their bodies. Lauren curled around her daughter, shielding her as they fell. They hit the ground, alive but battered. Lauren's leg throbbed, her vision blurred with blood. Sophie whimpered, clinging to her. Above, voices drifted down Cassandra's cold relief, George's indifference. No one'll find them, Evelyn said. Lauren pressed a hand over Sophie's mouth, signaling silence. They'd survived the fall, but the real danger was far from over. Her family, her blood, had tried to erase them for a $3 million insurance payout. As Lauren held Sophie close, one truth burned clear: she wasn't just fighting for their lives. She was fighting to expose the monsters hiding behind familiar faces. Lauren Mitchell lay battered at the bottom of a jagged ravine in Cascade Ridge National Park, her body screaming with pain. Her right leg was useless, likely broken, and blood seeped from a gash on her forehead, blurring her vision. But her arms were locked around her 6-year-old daughter, Sophie, whose trembling form pressed against her chest. Sophie's shallow breaths were the only thing keeping Lauren conscious. Above, the voices of her betrayers, her husband Ethan, sister Cassandra, and parents George and Evelyn faded into the wind. They're gone, Cassandra said, her tone chillingly final. No one hikes this trail. Lauren clamped a hand over Sophie's mouth, her heart pounding. They weren't safe yet. Despite the agony, Lauren's mind was razor sharp. Her family had pushed them off a cliff to claim a $3 million life insurance policy, but she'd survived, and so had Sophie. She whispered, We're gonna make it, baby. Stay quiet. Sophie, wide-eyed but steady, nodded, her small hand gripping Lauren's torn jacket. The forest was eerily still, the only sounds the rustle of pine needles and distant bird calls. Lauren's backpack, miraculously intact, held a single water bottle and a towel. She cleaned Sophie's scraped cheek, wincing as she assessed her own injuries. Her leg wouldn't move, her left wrist was swollen, but her will was unbreakable. We need to get out, Lauren rasped. Sophie, voice trembling, said, What if they come back, Mom? Maybe we should pretend we're not here. Lauren's heart ached. Her 6-year-old understood the stakes. Smart girl, she murmured. We'll move slow, together. Using a broken branch as a crutch, Lauren leaned on Sophie's tiny frame, each step a battle against pain and fear. For 3 grueling hours, they shuffled through the dense forest, Lauren biting her lip to stifle cries that might betray them. Sophie, clutching her stuffed raccoon, whispered, We're almost there, Mom, her voice a lifeline. Near dusk, salvation appeared, an elderly couple, Tom and Margaret Hayes, camping by a creek. Margaret gasped at Lauren's blooded state, while Tom radioed for help. Hang on, ma'am, he said, his voice steady. Lauren collapsed, Sophie's hand still in hers, as sirens wailed in the distance. At the hospital, Lauren drifted in and out of consciousness, her body bandaged, her leg in a cast. Sophie, bruised but unbroken, stayed by her side, recounting to paramedics how Mommy saved me. 3 days later, Detective Ryan Callahan, a grizzled cop with kind eyes, sat by Lauren's bed. You're lucky to be alive, he said, flipping open a notebook. Lauren, voice steady despite the pain, spilled everything: the staged picnic, Cassandra's cold grip, the fall meant to kill them. Sophie, with a memory like a steel trap, added a bombshell. I heard Aunt Cassandra tell Daddy the insurance money's coming soon when I was hiding in the garden, she said. Callahan's pen froze. Your girl's sharp, he told Lauren. She's our key. The investigation unraveled a chilling plot. Ethan had secretly upped Lauren's life insurance to $3 million, naming himself sole beneficiary. Cassandra had co-signed the policy, and George and Evelyn had wired Ethan $500,000 as final payment for the plan. Text recovered from Ethan's old phone revealed 6 months of scheming to eliminate Lauren and Sophie. They thought you'd be a loose end, Callahan said, his jaw tight. Ethan and Cassandra fled after the fall, but their luck ran out. Ethan was nabbed in a Nevada cabin, burning evidence. Cassandra was caught at a gas station trying to ditch her car. George and Evelyn, defiant, were subpoenaed after recorded calls exposed their role. 8 months later, the trial gripped Portland. Lauren, still in a wheelchair, faced her family in court. Sophie, via video, delivered a gut punch. Aunt Cassandra said Mommy and I wouldn't be here if the plan worked. I was scared, but Mommy's strong. The courtroom wept. Ethan claimed Lauren suffocated him. Cassandra called her a control freak. Their excuses fell flat. The judge's gavel sealed their fate. Ethan and Cassandra got 25 years for attempted murder. George and Evelyn, 15 for conspiracy and child endangerment. Lauren exhaled, not with joy, but with the weight of justice settling in. As she held Sophie's hand, Lauren knew the fight wasn't over. They'd survived a family's betrayal, but the scars ran deep. Yet, in Sophie's clear eyes, Lauren saw hope, a future where truth, not blood, defined their family. The world would know their story, and no one could silence them again. The sun hadn't yet risen over Portland, Oregon, when Lauren Mitchell's alarm pierced the stillness at 5:45 a.m. At 34. Lauren was a lab technician whose life revolved around precision measuring blood samples, logging data, ensuring no detail went unchecked. Her modest home, tucked in a quiet suburb, hummed with routine. By 6 o'clock, she was in the kitchen, packing a lunch for her 6-year-old daughter, Sophie: a peanut butter sandwich, a juice box, and a sticky note, You light up my world. Sophie, with her father's chestnut curls and Lauren's hazel eyes, was her greatest pride, a beacon of joy in a life that felt increasingly shadowed. Lauren's job at Cascade Medical Center wasn't glamorous, but she loved its quiet demands. The sterile lab, the soft whir of centrifuges, the weight of responsibility, it grounded her. After dropping Sophie at Willow Creek Elementary, where the little girl's backpack bobbed as she waved goodbye, Lauren headed to work, her mind already on the day's tasks. But beneath her focus, a growing unease stirred. Her husband, Ethan, a real estate developer, had become a stranger. Once her college sweetheart, with a smile that promised forever, he now spent weeks on the road, returning late with vague excuses about client meetings. When Sophie showed him her latest drawing, a rainbow-streaked unicorn, Ethan barely looked up from his phone. Nice, kiddo, he'd mutter, leaving Lauren to feel like a ghost in her own home. Her parents, Frank and Diane, lived 20 minutes away in a cedar cabin by Lake Oswego. Retired and once doting, they'd filled Sophie's weekends with homemade brownies and backyard treasure hunts. But lately, Diane's warmth had faded, her glances at Sophie were guarded, her hugs fleeting, as if she were pulling back from something unspoken. Lauren chalked it up to aging, but the shift lingered like a splinter. Then there was her sister, Natalie, 39, a Seattle-based marketing guru for a luxury perfume brand. Single, child-free, and always runway-ready, Natalie breezed into family dinners with tales of Milan fashion shows and penthouse parties. She teased Lauren's soccer mom life but never missed a chance to charm Frank's famous rib roasts. 2 weeks ago, over dinner, Natalie's tone shifted. "Lauren, ever thought about sending Sophie to a private academy in Seattle? They're world-class, she could live with me for a bit." Lauren's fork froze. "She's 6, Nat, I'm her mom." Natalie's smile was all teeth. "Just thinking of her future, you're slammed, Ethan's never around." "I'm offering help." The word help felt like a blade. That night, as Sophie slept, clutching her stuffed raccoon, Lauren lay awake. Ethan's absences, Diane's coldness, Natalie's pushiness, they were threads in a tapestry she couldn't yet see. The next morning, while brushing Sophie's hair, her daughter's question stopped her cold. "Mom, if I don't live with you someday, will you be sad?" Lauren's heart seized. "Who said that, sweetie?" Sophie's voice was tiny, Grandma's friend's kid. "She said I'm going to a far school with someone called," and Lauren's blood chilled. And for Natalie, 3 nights later, Ethan stumbled and passed 10, coat slung over his arm. "Client dragged on," he said, avoiding her eyes. Lauren sat at the kitchen island, dinner cold. She didn't argue silence, she'd learned, revealed more. As Ethan scrolled his phone, a reflection in the glass cabinet flashed a text, "Uncall back." Natalie, Lauren's gut twisted. The next day, Sophie's teacher, Ms. Larson, pulled her aside. "Sophie's been restless. She said someone told her she might move away from you." "Everything okay?" Lauren forced a nod, but her mind raced. She called Diane. "Has Natalie said anything about Sophie?" A long pause. "She's just worried about Sophie's education." Lauren thinks she deserves better. Lauren snapped. "No one decides that but me." Diane's sigh was heavy. "You're spread thin." Natalie's trying to help. That word again, help. 2 days later, Natalie appeared at noon, toting lattes and a glittery dress for Sophie. "Thought she'd love this." She grinned. Lauren didn't touch the coffee. "What are you playing at, Nat?" Natalie's laugh was brittle. "Just being an aunt." "Why so paranoid?" Lauren's voice was steel. "Trying to take my daughter away, that's your game?" Natalie's cup hit the counter hard. "You're blowing this out of proportion." Ethan's stressed. "Mom and Dad are worried. We want what's best for Sophie." Lauren stepped closer. "Sophie stays with me." Natalie's smile was venomous. "Motherhood doesn't give you a monopoly, Lauren. Kids aren't property." That night, searching Ethan's coat for his keys, Lauren found a sealed envelope from a Seattle law firm. Inside, custody consultation papers and a draft for Sophie's temporary guardianship transfer. Her hands shook as she read, the clocks ticked deafening. One question burned: how far would they go to steal my daughter? Saturday, Diane called, voice bright. "Family picnic at Crater Ridge National Park tomorrow. 2-hour drive, hiking, fall leaves. Sophie'll have a blast." "Natalie's coming." Lauren's instinct screamed, but Sophie overheard, bouncing with excitement. "Mom, I want to go. I'll bring my magnifying glass." Her joy was irresistible. Lauren agreed, packing sandwiches, water, and a first aid kit. Her lab habits made her cautious. Ethan, predictably, bailed. Investor meeting. "You two enjoy." Lauren pressed. "Is something wrong with our family?" He shrugged. "You're overthinking." The next day, Frank drove, Diane beside him, Natalie in the back with Lauren and Sophie. Natalie's designer hiking gear seemed out of place. She wasn't the outdoors type. The trail started innocently, Sophie pointing out heart-shaped leaves. But Frank led them to a remote path, saying, "It's a hidden gem." Lauren's unease grew. Natalie's sly glances, Diane's cryptic, "This'll be unforgettable," and Frank's insistence on a cliffside view set her nerves alight. No one else carried supplies, just water bottles, no maps, no food. At the cliff's edge, Natalie's hand grazed Lauren's arm. "Life could be simpler, Lauren," she whispered. Lauren jerked back, clutching Sophie. "Don't touch me." Frank scooped Sophie up, saying, "Look, an eagle," and stepped toward the drop. Lauren screamed, "Put her down," but Diane shoved her hard. Lauren stumbled, grabbing Sophie as they plummeted. Branches snapped, rocks tore at them, but Lauren shielded her daughter. They hit the ground, alive but broken. Lauren's leg shattered, blood blurring her vision. Sophie whimpered, "Mommy, I'm scared." Lauren whispered, "We're alive." "That's enough." Voices above confirmed the worst. "They're gone," Natalie said. "No one'll find them," Diane added. Lauren signaled Sophie to stay silent. Her family had planned this, a $3 million insurance scam, but Lauren wasn't done. Using a branch as a crutch, she and Sophie limped through the forest for 3 agonizing hours, Sophie's whispers of were almost there fueling her. Near dusk, campers Tom and Margaret Hayes found them. "Hold on," Tom said, calling 911. Lauren blacked out, Sophie's hand in hers. In the hospital, Detective Ryan Callahan, a seasoned cop with a father's warmth, took Lauren's statement. Sophie, sharp as a tack, revealed she'd overheard Ethan and Natalie plotting the picnic for insurance money. Callahan's findings were damning. Ethan had spiked Lauren's policy to $3 million. Natalie co-signed, and Frank and Diane paid Ethan $500,000 to seal the deal. Text showed 6 months of scheming. Ethan and Natalie fled but were caught, Ethan in a Nevada hideout, Natalie at a gas station. Frank and Diane faced subpoenas. 8 months later, the trial shook Portland. Lauren, in a wheelchair, faced her family. Sophie's video testimony, "Aunt Natalie said Mommy and I wouldn't be here," broke the courtroom. Ethan and Natalie got 25 years. Frank and Diane, 15, justice landed, but Lauren's fight wasn't over. In Evergreen Valley, Colorado, under witness protection, she and Sophie rebuilt with friend Grace's help. Lauren worked at a clinic, Sophie thrived at school. A principal, David Clark, offered kindness, tying Sophie's scarf at her 8th birthday. Sophie called him uncle, and Lauren knew family isn't blood, it's love that stays. Their story, raw and real, proves that from betrayal's ashes, a mother's bond can forge a new dawn.